about what to click. I'm always like on time. So, hello
Yes.
everyone.
Hi, everybody. We're back.
Oh, it has been such a strange, um, like it's been like 2 months that we were doing the Sunday streams, right?
Yeah,
Hi, Jude.
it was like a month and a half.
Yeah, there's been month and a half of that, and it's all leading up to World Building Festival. In case anyone had forgotten, I put out some of my best thumbnails yet. Honestly,
I
I
will
don't think
say
I'll ever quite top the primate stream one. I think that was a work of genius. My
I still think that little visual of Bib yields so many rewards.
yes, the answer for if you want good content is to Photoshop Bib doing something.
It's
Hi
not
David and
clickbait, but it's
Tinglish.
smearing.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel a bit bad because I made that joke about Patrick was like it and oh are having a baby, and I said what are they calling it, and the next thing was Mateus saying R.I.P. Dolly Parton,
I
and
know.
I made the joke and I did put an apologies, but I should have put it outside of the. Would it be better outside of the thing anyway?
Anyway, but yeah, I feel like I also y'all I've had a really crazy day. I'm gonna eventually step out and like grab rice that's on because that is like the only thing I will be have eating. Whatever tense that is an aspect, I don't know. But like whenever the little alarm goes off, I'm gonna step out. But long story short, it's been a wild, wild day, and to only have it compounded by Dolly Parton's death has been wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I feel like this is one of those things where you'll remember where you heard about it. Um,
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
yeah,
I don't want to
she's
get too
like
depressed.
one of the only good celebrities. Like, if we're being honest.
Like literally like is like actively putting books in libraries.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk adverbs
Wait,
solemnly.
wait.
Yes, and I agree. Please give Laguna a
Oh no.
big old hug from me and David. I hope Laguna is in her most chongo mood, and I am excited. Oh, it's almost Laguna True time. That is correct. Adjective, not adjectives, adverbs. In the little adverb section.
I feel like I've lost the plot of the comments. So I think we just like keep chugging along.
Keep
Don't
on
know if
keeping
that's the
on.
right. Yeah.
Let's see if this will work.
Um. Okay. Uh,
Oh, perfect.
people love my weird noises while I'm trying to figure out. I'm not a dials shipper.
Dials. That sounds like it needs to be some sort of medieval, like I mean, like A, it's mining. B, it gives like Giles a la Buffy, and like there needs to be another sort of like medieval figure of that same prowess. But we
So,
we have tasked you all in terms of kind of how we're going to be forming adverbs. We had made this poll with 4 options, and we had allowed it for you all to choose multiple of them, the ones that you like. It could be all, it could be none. Well, ideally, it would have been one or more. And the top two were the ones that were going to win. The first option is
well, figuratively, and jumping the gun also literally. I don't know if you checked the results or not.
I mean, yeah, I have checked the results, and I shall do it thusly. So option one was the using the simulative pronoun fu. or faux rather.
Oh.
And yes, faux is like as or like. So as new, as easy as, and for example, for a kind of more metaphorical extension, that option had one with 5 votes. That's for sure going to be an option in our adjectival or our modifier framework, I'll just say. Because option two is the great participle shift. So what
Hmm.
is happening here is we had been sort of using, or with the P mutation, we had essentially had said that the active participle is also used kind of linking two verbs, kind of sort of like sequentially, so to speak, or in terms of kind of just like um, in terms of a modifier in it of its own right.
But
So
it's
yeah,
we've used it for relative clauses. This is probably a bad example because obviously it looks like it looks the same as a regular modifier.
mm,
Um, but um, the use basically gets extended.
hmm
Um, a lot of this was inspired by how form is used in Japanese. Um, so you have a form that essentially connects two verbs, and then its use gets expanded. And yeah.
yeah. Um, And this one is also another that was high in the vote, so it's going to be options one and options one and two, that are going to be the ones that will be more codified. Option three was one that I really did like. It was just kind of using sort of like the position of those verbs in sequence, whether or not they sort of like coalesce into a final form or not, was sort of depending on like a semantic or a more like a prosodic um, verbal compound entity vibe. Um,
I feel like this one I I always want to like interview like a post interview. I'm like, why didn't you vote for this one? What made you vote for that one? Like, tell us
yes.
your because I think like I mean, I guess there's nothing stopping us from doing this in other places. I thought I thought the option of having what looks like a prefix that means to go and do something was very appealing to me.
Yes, I agree.
Um, and so it may be that we frame it slightly differently.
I
Um,
do think for a lot of the more like the no longers, the kind of the adverbs that are more sort of like time or how do I phrase it, not really kind of like concretely meaning what they're kind of meaning. I think those can maybe be derived in this manner, but we can kind of see eventually how these fit in the grander scheme. But I do like this option very much.
um, and then option four was more reduplication. I know that I think it was only me and Jonathan who voted for this
Hmm
option. I think some of these forms were more appealing than others. And to be fair, like the idea that a language would only form adverbs in two ways is quite strange.
It is quite
Um,
strange.
and so, like things like Hanan, I think we may end up keeping just because it works. um,
Hmm
whereas um, I think Sunatana is really fun, but
It
it may
is
not
very fun.
like like I actually I think like some of them sound a bit silly, like unji unji, um, and lungu lungu. I mean,
Lungu lungu.
I like them a lot. If I'm being very honest with
I did
myself,
like Tiggle Diggle.
yeah, Tuggle Duggle
Tiggle
is
Diggle was
excellent.
wonderful. I
Um,
think there's nothing like stopping us from like maybe doing some sort of like emphasis, sort of like with very strong ease. Um, but I do, yeah. In terms of the two main pathways in which adverbs will be formed, it is going to be with the full prefix, and it is going to be kind of more transparently participial.
and yeah, the poll was this long
Hmm.
mostly because a it like there's been a whole conflation of things. We're trying to get like find the sweet spot of when people will vote on things. Um, and I think this one thing that had been said was maybe having more examples, and this is probably a case of there being perhaps too many. But
Mm.
the problem was that like obviously we're working on the relay text, and realizing that what we were doing wasn't gonna work meant that we had a whole bunch of things that we were trying to derive all at once, and it felt useful to try and
Narrow in a
essentially
little.
like
Yeah.
make sure we had covered all of our bases. Um,
My
uh,
rice cooker just singed. Happy day. Okay, I'm gonna go prepare a little nosh and nugget and such, and I'll be back in like 4 minutes.
okay, you're stuck with just me. Um, so um, what's next on the to-do list? Um, so one thing that came up last time was, well, we resolved the poll last time that was dealing with uh, modifiers, um, and not modifiers, particles, and we're doing not emphasis based, but some other discourse based sentence final particles. And what I will do is I'm gonna go to the prepositions section, and I'm going to update this. This is all, yeah, this is all good. I'll zoom in so people can see what's actually going on. I do like having the columns be more the same size, but that's not helpful if nothing fits. Okay, so as like simulative, okay, preposition most used to derive uh, adverbial constructions.
I'm back.
That was
Yeah.
fast.
I know. I actually undershot my time. The rice is also not well cooked. I mean, it is cooked. Don't get me wrong, but it is definitely wet.
Hmm.
I did not wash my rice. I'm very sorry. I it was more out of necessity than out of wanting to actually make it nice. And then Jonathan, to answer your question, a nosh and a nugget is what I said. Nosh
Are you
and
having nuggets?
no, just a little morsel, little vibe.
Hmm. I saw someone eating nuggets the other day, and can't stop thinking about them. But I also know that they are, in general, like not great, and not great companies sell them
Mm-hmm.
around here. And I'm just like, hmm. What I did make today was like a Bistia inspired pie. like with the phyllo pastry and like chicken mince and like raisins and stuff
That
inside.
sounds delicious. I've actually been like craving one of those, like sort of like kind of like phyllo, sort of like spicy sweet meat moments.
Mm. I we had run out of root ginger, so I used crystallized stem ginger,
Mm,
and it came out nice and gingery and even sweeter than planned.
I think that would be delicious. I think like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say like sweet meat is underrated, but like I do think that some meats with a sweet overtone is very good.
Can I be really vulnerable right now?
You can.
I think that sweetmeats, as in offal, are very overrated, and I think that people like to eat them because they feel like it makes them better than other people.
Yes, and
Um,
I will also argue that in terms of the like food influencer sphere where like we're gonna eat extreme food and it's just awful. It's just animal organs at the end of the day. Like it's not extreme.
mhm. See, looking at these examples, I just am not convinced that some of these make sense. And I think part of it is because they don't show up in the right place in the word order. And maybe that's because like there aren't full sentences here. Like these ones, you obviously see them in the context of the whole thing, right?
Hmm.
Um, and like there was obviously places where like the pragmatic order made me change. Like technically, like Hungji or whatever it is would have originally, like in the way that we were doing it before, we were
Yeah.
modifying our verb that was going to become our adverb the same way that we modify nouns to become modifiers. Um, and it just didn't really uh, work out as a good solution for us by the end of it. Um, um,
I mean, like, I do think there is, especially with this like specific example, about how like the word order is inducing that sort of like adverbial meaning. I will also say that it could like depend on say the derivation of whatever form where you're using of kind of like
mm,
these specific ones. Um, my other thought, I'm trying to remember what it was. Crap. Oh, in terms of like the tense markers too, that like could also like especially if these are ones that are kind of more temporally um like motivated, I guess, then like it might also kind of like push them post verbal to kind of like reinforce that sort of like time um meaning.
hmm
But
I
like
think
I
this is
it
part of
yeah.
it that the slot that would have been mostly for adverbs before. And obviously like
Mhm.
there's plenty of languages that do use like multiple like adverb is like I've seen it described in a bunch of places as like like a kind of grab bag class or like a word
Yeah,
class fruit salad. Like you can kind of shove everything that doesn't match noun, verb, or sometimes adjective in there.
it's
Um,
very catch-all.
yeah. Um,
I think that's also just from like a conlanging standpoint why like A is sometimes are one of the last things like I mean I you and other people usually tackle. B they are somewhat difficult and just like C like because of how many sort of different types there are like I think the systematist in me wants a very like, regimented pattern for like all these little bits and it just doesn't play nicely with like what the adverb is kind of doing here.
Mm-hmm. Um, uh,
Mm.
I know you always like it when things are centered in the box,
Oh, I
not
do.
found. I think it's literally just that I hadn't managed to grab the whole of the table when I was doing this. Okay, that's all fine. Oh, okay. I did also feel like picking.
Mm.
I I was not showing the doc because I had finished showing the other stuff, and I was like, "Oh, we're just kind of having a chat."
That is
I
true too.
wasn't doing anything. Um, like this is obviously like a direct parallel to English, except that we never use it with verbs. Like no one would say, "I'm going runningly,"
No, absolutely not.
or "I'm running
I'm going as
goingly."
a running. I'm going like
Um,
running. Yes.
but
I'm gonna put that
um,
on the screen, Logan,
I
because
will
that.
say you do actually hear it in some dialectal stuff.
Mm. But as
Um,
Logan has definitely talked about in many spheres about noun, verb, adjective, and adverb, and kind of what those mean as parts of speech. I think it's a really cool distinction as well. Kind of like where I'm thinking of I can see like the omni like predicality like table in my mind, and that's what it's reminded me of because of course it is. Um, and then to point out Jude's point, I'm also weak at programming. I can do very mild editing in Wikipedia, and that is about all my little talents can afford me. Mm.
um, you do hear in English people saying
Mm.
to like I'm doing something, then verb like.
Mm. Swimmingly.
No, no, literally with the word like.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Where one of my good friends in college, we made a orthographic distinction between Like and Liek, where Liek meant the more like adverbial like, and Li was Like was like the normal sort of like I like something XYZ.
Hmm, okay. Um,
Oh, the ISO, like the standards folks. I just put that two together.
hmm,
Hmm.
okay. Um, I feel like the participle shift is gonna be better to do off stream because I think it means like trying to corral every example that we have these and kind of like making sure they're all together.
Hmm.
Um, um, and so, and I did also think like there's probably quite a few examples where like some other preposition may actually be the best option for the um, for like deriving a specific adverbial
Hmm.
form.
I do think that I
So,
think these are more so like guidelines, and then any sort of like specific little doodles that like kind of like truly do make sense can get mapped on. Mm.
we have subordination particles, mood particles, imperative and prohibitive
Mm.
particles. Um, See, I thought I was being naughty because I coined a word with an initial M, but you've got a final retroflex D, which
All
I
because I
don't
wanted
think.
it to be heard. Well,
Hmm.
that was when I thought that it was that D with illicit syllable that we had it just for the jokes, but alas, it is now heard. Ood. Ood.
Um, so Um,
Do we have to go
sentence.
over on?
It is sentence, right? I
Oh
guess
yes,
I guess we can bring up the other poll if we're feeling that inclined.
daring.
Um, so
Oh
the thing
wow.
that we had described in the option that won was so possibilities for sentence final particles from other sources, making them feature the language, phrase level emphasis,
Hmm.
sociopragmatic markers to successfully change the tone of a phrase relative to the audience without adding more repetition of ignoratives. Of the
Hmm.
kind, do you know, you know. Um, I I really struggled with how we were writing that because I kept trying to do Jano and I wasn't sure like
Yeah,
how
I know
that.
what you mean though.
Oh, I shouldn't have just deleted, well, not deleted, left.
This is
I
the first
left
time in a long
Patreon
while
in
I was
there.
looking at this poll, and I'm just very surprised that I had thought it was going to be no appendices for a good while. But I think I remember you saying to me, like, oh, we are going to have a little bit of some particle fun. So that was kind of nice a little bit.
Well, because we did that poll, we looked at the results last week, but we were doing
Yes,
scripting stuff,
thing. Correct.
which um, everyone should be very excited because the script has come a very, very, very long way since we very hurriedly tried to fix it.
The script looks fire. The script looks fantastic. We cannot wait to show it off. And yes, please get excited. Be excited.
So, on the sentence
Goodbye,
final
David.
particles, I was I was trying to figure out, like, I think I
Hmm.
only put it in that poll to begin with because, for one, I'm glad Logan's here because I know Logan's talked before about how sentence final particle is like a very funny kind of cross-linguistic thing that
Hmm.
like kind of does interesting things, but I don't know where they fit with all the other stuff. Um, and I'm also aware that was it for our relay or was it the YouTube relay where Logan decided to leave off all of the sentence final particles, um, like violating one of the original rules of the language and provoking a question of, well, what do you do if if you do to choose to leave them off in certain cases? Um, so I was inspired by this book. Is mine mirrored or not?
I think mine
Uh,
is mirrored. And again, I have
uh,
no idea. We'll find very soon.
sorry, I said decide. Yes, they were forgotten. Um, um, but it has a whole sort of section towards the end where it's kind of like talking about how um, like there's a whole set of like particular use cases that comes up across uh, like cross linguistically, uh, particularly in Asia, is
Yeah.
where Kaya's research is predominantly located. Um, but like I don't know where I was going with this. I think I need to like pause for a sec and think. I kept trying to find the relevant section.
I
Um,
did pull up. the sentence final particle article on Wikipedia and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like understanding how much, I guess, um, like how many there are and kind of what reaches they have. I know that the poll said particle party, and a party usually does mean a good amount of folks. Um, I think obviously like, emphasis is a good one just in terms of like general vibes, general sort of
But
just
didn't
like
we
yeah.
specifically say we weren't doing emphasis?
I mean, if that's the case, then I'll be like very intrigued about kind of like more narrow distinctions.
Well, first of all, when you say modal cases, what do you mean?
In terms of adding some sort of like emotional background to the sentence. Hmm.
I'm trying to think if there is a better word. The because I think modal and I think of
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying now. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
auxiliary verbs.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know what the right like. And this is the other thing is that that poll. I think that was where we were trying not to make things too long, uh, and not too long also didn't work. Like I don't know. I don't know how to get
Hmm.
people to vote and things.
Well,
Um,
I do think that one of these little particles could might be a means to ask questions because we do not have any sort of question unless like yes we have the ignoratives but we don't have any means to like qualify them as a question, so it might could just be sort of like thought think a way to kind of just like reinforce that sort of like polar question.
hmm And yeah, I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna say, having listened to George's podcast at his recommendation, um, yeah, the emphasis is one of these terms where it's like you feel like you know what it means when you use it, but it does cover like far too many things. Yeah. Um, oh no, let's not do that. Um,
There.
I would say that can be used to express like certain attitudes of the
Hmm.
speaker. Um, um, I I did wanna also bring up so the section I was thinking of in particular
Mm-hmm.
um uses a term which is like socio-pragmatic. Um, and it's basically combining two, what to me are like two sort of distinct categories. One of which is, as I said, like attitudinal. Um, so like you're sort of uh, ne, you're in Japanese. Like I don't know. I guess it's hard to describe those Japanese ones in particular because they
Mm.
are used for seemingly like overlapping things. And I also I remember when we talked about particles before, you had words as well. So I think like confirmation was one of the words that came up.
Yeah, to kind of like
Um,
ensure um the meaning was heard or like even like to yeah, like elicit that response.
Um,
Um,
and I've also seen yacht described as about like convincing. Um, because I did realize afterwards that like it is quite possible to have a thing that ends in your near. Um, like you're convincing someone, but like you're trying to prove that you're convincing them, but you're also trying to ask for confirmation.
mm,
Um, um, I'm sure Logan's list is also like I elocutionary force is the one that I'm most I feel like I need broken down a bit, but I feel like that feels like this thing, but I
what?
could be fully wrong.
How do you spell elocutionary?
It I can put it on the
Oh,
screen.
oh, I'm sorry. I see it.
Oh, and yes, the list is not comprehensive. I see the ellipsis. Um, um, anyway,
Anyway,
alongside alongside that, like that set is what I remember being in that section. And then this is also where um, you can sort of have like we can call it politeness, but I would also frame it as a kind of
my mind went to like deference.
difference is like another. I'm trying to think about the way that I want to express it because I feel like I need to reread the indexing and flagging paper again. Um,
Hmm,
I think this counts as a flag. Um,
hmm,
like it it flags the relationship of like the status of the speaker and certainly relative to of the listener relative to speaker. Um, so um,
I
like
have made a little side
mhm.
quest. I apologize. I'm on the elocution Wiktionary article because I want to look, and elocution in this definition in in obviously the English in the entry on Wiktionary has a term for it in linguistics, and in linguistics, comma ithquil. Specifically ithquil, and then there's a seemingly a way to translate it both in Mandarin and in Russian for the specific ithquil term, which does make sense for the Russian if you know the lore. But that's very funny. Maybe the Chinese too, but definitely the Russian makes sense with the lore. But that's lovely. Thank you, Logan, for that little nugget of pleasure. A little dopamine hit, if you will. Okay, but yes, politeness.
um, I feel like I got to the end of my thing and then you had your tangent. Um, I I was thinking that like I tried to. I mean, oh God, how are we already at this point in the stream? Um, um, one thing that might actually be helpful would be to actually like decide on the social structure.
That could be
Um,
fun.
it's I don't want to spend too long on it. I had started trying to think about it and then realized that like I don't know. The like it may not actually matter all that much. When I think about like the Vietnamese example, you don't have to understand the structure of
The network of
like
webs
the
and stuff.
Vietnamese Communist Party to be able to understand the politeness system of the language. And I don't want it to devolve into well, I don't know. I do think it is interesting that in, like, for example, both Japanese in Japanese, not so much exactly because the emperor obviously still exists,
Mm.
but like in Chinese and Korean you have politeness registers that are mostly only seen now in like historical fiction because obviously people do not have to follow like a emperor or
Yeah.
monarch anymore. Um, and so like having specific like monarchy targeted language obviously isn't that strange.
No, not at
Uh,
all.
I also remembered the Tongan uh, register system that someone brought up the other day, um, which was slightly more involved than I. I hope it was Tongan. I think it was Tongan. Um, like it had. Um, okay, yeah, it has like specific honorific registers
Hmm.
for chiefs and kings, which I don't think that we want to do, but I thought that it was um, interesting that this was a
A
thing
feature or
that,
something.
yeah, because like I was aware of the Javanese system, so um, in Javanese they have various registers used in different levels of society, um, mostly based on how many loan words are in it. Is my main impression, having tried to study up on it a little bit.
That makes
But
sense.
anyway,
But
uh,
in terms of kind of like this might be a good idea, but we do have like our like relational classifiers, and those have a very strong um meaning of like how people like treat objects, I guess. I'm wondering like could we extend that upwards to kind of like how they respect people, especially if they are like traders with a D, not with a IT.
yeah. Um, I also thought that having some sort of um, boundary along that line might be interesting. Um, although the issue becomes like if the so like the typical trader um, is like a Kogarten man, right? Um,
Yes.
so why would they learn Schneider? um, and uh, sort of what is the benefit to them of incorporating um, this speech pattern? Um, this is where like having a register may actually make
A
a bit
lot of
more
sense.
sense, um, which isn't what we want to do right now, but it might be.
Because we are already having a good like with those classifiers a good like in group out group distinction already within it
But that's only
with things though.
in like specific possessive phrases.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
so
do think there is some sort of like culture weaving that could be applied from there to this in terms of kind
it
of like
does
what is the benefit.
it, it does make me think, like, without developing the full register right now. Um, I'm thinking of like in like parts of the English speaking world. I'm most confident that this happens in London and Toronto. If you can guess where I'm going. Do you want to guess where I'm going?
Not, I'm trying to think with like Toronto, why would you include that?
Um,
I guess the matter
I'm sure this must happen in other places, but there has been a widespread adoption of sayings like "wallahi."
Oh, yes. Yes, I've heard it as the Mamdani effect.
See, I was aware of this long before Mandani came in.
I'm sure. Oh, yeah.
um, and so, um, like the adoption of like these Arabic phrases outside of a religious group
Mm.
into the kind of affected speech of a community seems like it could be one option for these kind of particles.
Yeah.
Um, my big fear with this is that this implies a lot more grammar in Cogarten than what we actually have right now.
Yep. Yeah, it does. I mean,
Um,
yep.
but I think that like if we could like pin down exactly what the phrases we need are, we can like
Craft
make
a
the
little bit.
grammar that we need to translate those phrases. This is what happens when you make a naming language, everyone, is you you end up needing verbs at some point.
Yep. That is true.
Um, so I think
Yeah.
if we figure out what these would be, and so the order of events is that we have some kind of trading pigeon. It's a pigeon, right?
I would say so.
Yeah, trading pigeon emerges following initial. I don't know if conquest is the right word, but we'll go with it. Of um, Kogarten speaking areas on Otalu um, by um, like Proto Tanaira peoples, which is followed up by um, they don't. So creolization effects produce uh, large simplifications in morphology
Hmm.
in Tanaira, um, which through mixing with the more conservative forms of the language produce
Welcome, Soten. Thank you for joining us.
temporary Tanaira. People who know more
Yeah.
about pigeons and creoles can tell us what the best way to say this is if you have issues, because I feel like this is one of these things where I know that there is like more and less accepted pathways to these things. Um, and I'm a bit afraid of I'm not afraid to be wrong. I think I want to be quite clear. I'm
Yes.
mostly just not afraid to write the wrong thing down and keep going and then come back and correct it later. Um,
Yeah. I think if worse comes worse, somebody will tell us if that is
Yeah.
the right vernacular to use.
Mm-hmm. We don't possess the vernacular that we think
I
we
think
do.
she possesses. Ugh, I need to watch that again because
um,
that really is my pump up stuff right there.
so, um, at the same time, there are persistent Kogarten speaking communities, and there is a degree of bilingualism. Uh, those engaged with Kogarten speaking traders from Momo um, develop a mixed language following the. I feel like I've just thrown every word for this sort of thing into one paragraph. I mean, calling this a paragraph is very generous.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean sometimes you run out of synonyms.
well,
Yeah,
I mean mixed language in the sense of they're using Tanaira, sort of, and also incorporating expressions from Kogarten. Um, mixed language following the thing is, like, if they already had a pigeon and then the pigeon creolized, it's
I
one
think
thing that is difficult is that obviously a lot of what we know about these things occur through specific, um, calling them contact circumstances feels really um, euphemistic. Like, a lot of these
mm-hmm.
emerged out of like,
Colonialism.
specifically like plantation-based slavery.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I guess yeah, the West African ones through uh, colonialism and like the enforcement of the English language. Um, well, not just English and French and Portuguese and all these things. Um, so, but yeah, mixed language. Um, uh,
I
let's
think
just
these need to
say
be. I think these need to be flopped though.
what
Wait, hold on, pause. Never mind. Ignore what I'm saying. Yeah.
develop a system of communication which combine Tonaida, um, which I guess now learned through persistent trade relationships. I mean, when you think about like the introduction of Islam to Southeast Asia and the adoption of like Arabic, the traders would they have learned Malay? Like, I'm trying to remember at what point Malay becomes the lingua franca,
Slow. Actually,
because that's the kind of closest example I can think of this. But then, if they were just using Malay, they wouldn't have introduced so much Arabic. And so,
well, I think it's when. Hmm.
but the Arabic's obviously introduced partly because Arabic is so central to
Yes.
the practice of Islam. Um,
Yes.
um, and
Hmm.
but I don't quite know like the um,
It looks like this is what this says. So, For centuries, a maritime empire based on the island of Sumatra was responsible for the spread of Old Malay throughout the peninsula and the archipelago, and it served as lingua franca for traders and used it in various ports and marketplaces across the region. And then there, I guess, was classical Malay came to be widely used. So I guess it continued to be using during like the Sultanate and pre-Islamic and post-Islamic um,
Hmm.
reaches of kind of the Malacca Strait.
Well, classical rather than like contemporary Malay versus Indonesian is like strongly influenced by which colonial empire was in charge.
Most assuredly so.
Yeah. We do have a very important question. If there
We
were
do.
two hypothetical languages, boobies and kikis, would the creolization be called bookies
Bukis or
or kibis?
Kibis. I feel like Bukis is we already are so close to Bokies already in terms of language names, so maybe Kibis would be one just to distinguish it from ours? Question mark? I don't know.
The other thing is that
Bokus is such a really booba name.
the creolization, like, they don't. I feel like the names. I can't think of a single example where the name is like a mixture of the two names of the other languages.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, and Sotan's saying that koines
Mhm.
tend to lack weight in regards of what is preserved and what isn't. These are such interesting preposition uses um, of the koine. It's kind of like all the grammar and pronunciation is thrown into a bag and uh, grabbed. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say grabbed. Any, anyway,
Anywho,
we get what you
yes.
mean. Takiki.
Tokiki is a wonderful name. I love Tokiki. It feels like it's gonna sound so mean, but it feels like a mystical monkey who's going to go on a journey. Like I want to meet Tokiki so badly. I want to speak Tokiki. I want to eat Tokiki. I want to eat tteokbokki. I want to do all of it.
And Mateus has also brought up the option of Tokiki,
Mm,
which I mean, let's be honest, like it's not like the. I mean, I guess piscine comes from the word pigeon, right? So
it does.
um, like it's kind of a. It's not a tautology. It's like the pigeon is the kind of talk that is being talked. Um, anyway, uh, so mixed language with trade relationships, and so the result is as follows. So, um, a um, trading register of the language used in negotiations
Yes.
and other interactions with outsiders with a higher degree of Kogarten learning, and B, across the Tanaida language, um, expressions are adopted from Kogarten, which are then used in a reduced form as um, sentence final articles.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Hey,
This then means that I have to find a document that I wasn't expecting to have to find.
me Neither. I literally said today, like every time that I like prepare for this, I say like, do I need the Kogarten document today? And usually the answer is no. And I would not expect today would be the day that we would need it. Not at all.
Sometimes the way that we organize things makes sense to me, and sometimes it really doesn't.
No.
um, and I think that's beautiful. um, is it in here? Yeah, it's in here. Okay. So, um, we have like a whole bunch of things.
We
Oh,
have scan. We have the verb to trade, and if I remember correctly, that does come. It does lead into like the word for thank you.
something like that. No,
Yeah.
but I didn't make a word for thank you.
Well, it's right here. It's a phrase. Remember, you did it for your little um spec con talk.
Oh yeah, I did. Oh, it's in Gesto that they don't say thank you. They have a gesture instead.
Yes, we need to update our document with our climates. Thanks to Will from the Lands Unknown.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The To be honest, the worst offender is what do you call it? Um, uh, in the we have one doc which includes the old climate map, and it looks completely different to the current climate map.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Hold on. Let's do. I think that's either.
it's the Puma doc.
Is it the Puma Doc?
Yeah.
Gag.
Um. Yeah.
Well, that's the bottom part of it for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. So for one thing, the way that we
Michelle.
documented this is more reflective of how we did the book, not Bokus, the original Proto Tundra thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was mostly trying to have us make the same number of words, and then that didn't actually go anywhere. Um, um, and still, you can see that I have made. Oh no, this is nouns versus verbs. We've just both made huge numbers of nouns.
Absolutely.
um, okay. Oh, I think I jumped the gun a bit. Um, we so I think the thing to do um, will be to decide on some what do you call it? Um, some specific phrases that we want to be able to say,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then to develop those. And there's something very irritating happening in the room next to me, and so I am going to go and deal with that.
Okay. I am going to see kind of think of some stuff that we can have. Oh, well, I'm gonna go here. Things you want to say. Expressions that last on in Tamira. I think like, is this enough? Would be good. I'm thinking like kind of like trading stuff. That may be hard to kind of like. Well, we have a little adverbs now. We can kind of do them like this. Um, in terms of like sense final particles, I think that's kind of like also like maybe kind of like something with our like visible demonstrative. No, actually no. Maybe like this is not even a sentence, but like a mixture between visible demonstrative and like Kogarten like nothing nonsense, like a garden word of some sort, like like a see what's up sort of deal. Um, no, I do want to have some sort of like a confirmation one, being from like no, because that's gonna involve this doesn't make sense with the in world like lore, I guess. Okay, I put like, is this enough to kind of like maybe like a confirmation um like derivation, so to speak. I don't know, like kind of as like I see what's
Mm,
happening. That's the old one. That's the new one. I'm sorry, that's the new one for sure.
okay. New tangent.
Oh yeah, that's the old one. There we go.
So the old one, that bear in mind that we thought that the 30-degree line, for example, was going to be like right where the red is, wasn't it?
Something like this,
Or
yeah, because that would
something
be a
like
lot
that.
more.
I
I mean,
I can't work out what, like, looking at this, I'm like, surely there must have been more desert down there.
oh yeah, like this looks
Um,
like, yeah, I think this was a way more north than we had expected, and also just like that whole top half, like is completely changed. I will say that we
mhm.
did get a good job at like the northwestern, northeastern parts, but it's so different comparatively.
But it was also like, I don't think that we had properly. No, the also, yeah. There's just a whole lot that's different. Like, and so the people who haven't been watching uh the streams as well, like, this is the beautiful system that we have now.
Yay! Yay!
Um, although we need to add a key.
Yes, we shall add a key,
Mhm.
but still, it is. I cannot wait to kind of like ooh tinker. I call it just like the masculine urge like to tinker and play with things. I'm so excited. The vibe is very
Mhm.
similar indeed.
I mean, to be fair, the realism is because this is just a lot more granular than the other one.
Yeah, and Nat pulled their pussy out on this because this still looks like utterly fantastic in terms of just like those islands are like nothing compared to like those like three little doodles here.
Hmm.
And we wouldn't have our little Greenland.
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that was just sort of missed off.
Well, I mean that whole like the whole like tail is just like not even remotely present.
Well, because it didn't exist yet.
Well, that's also true. That is also true.
Yeah. Um, the other one had some choices to create a lack of first.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yep, I would say so. Yep, yep. R.A.P. Mole had a good time for half by you. Okay. Boop 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 ba doop doop ba doop 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 doop. Oh, interesting. Ah,
Hmm.
ah. There we go. Yes, the cold desert eyes did survive. That is true.
I
I'm very
mean,
glad to see what goes on in those businesses.
does does Mediterranean count as temperate?
Mm-hmm. This is sea climate.
Because I feel like this is basically a world in which the coasts are like the coasts are great, and then you go slightly inland, and you're like, no, no, no.
Beautiful. That's how it should be. Fear the inside. Hi, Danielle.
Hmm. Yeah. Um. I don't. I think it was just that we forgot to send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, yeah. Um, there have been. I think I had misunderstood. Like, it was also entirely vibes based. um,
Yes.
like, I mean, not entirely vibes based, but like, um, a lot of it was rooted in like the kind of less granular models. Um, anyway, uh, there we go. Um, yeah. Okay. So I think like um, what's the with these for what I said about the tables not being a good idea um, in the other one, I'm gonna insert a table. Um, um,
I'm trying to think of
let's
how
go with this
much.
for now.
Yeah. Okay.
So Kogatin, uh, let's let's do it like this. So so mean so phrase use and then
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
Snyder and use. Mm-hmm. I guess
Oh, of the listener. Sorry. Um.
no. We need another column that is like translation. I guess no, because
No.
the remember
Oh.
the phrase is being learned.
So it's good. Okay. Yes. 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 I got you. I got you.
Um, but can you undo that? Because I think if I undo it, it will undo the last thing I did.
Yeah. You're fine.
Okay. So the phrase is going to go from here right into here,
Yeah.
and the use will be like these. Do you want them here or do you want them here? Is also the thing I'm thinking.
Yeah. This is gonna. This is where the particle is gonna be. I'm trying to. I'm trying to parse through where my head's at in terms of kind of like how in common these two will be.
I always feel like the green that I go to first is a bit darker than I expect.
And in terms of your question, Stone, in terms of the bad one versus kind of, I guess, the less analytic, I guess, or less synthetic, rather, I guess the answer would be yes. There is a lot of synthesis that has gotten lost as from Tenira to Tenira from the proto language, how it has evolved. Um, I I I think where my head is at is how related to trade will these be? Because likely they're not the only places, unless like how this. The only places where Tower speakers will likely hear these expressions are in the trading like centers or like if they venture into a Kogarten community.
No, but
Um.
they are occupying Kogarten land.
Oh, I see. I see. So wait. Oh. So is it really trading to some degree?
I mean, this is like this whole history here expresses like a very complicated like part of our
Yeah.
issue is it expresses a very historical and layered use of the language. We have established reasons why Kogatten would be very uh, what's the right word? Um, uh, I guess no, we do have one option. So we we have reasons why Kogatten is very conservative, um, but we do have like um, a distinction between the form with allophony and the form with like the kind of underlying form, right?
Yeah.
And at the moment, when we learn things from Kogatten into Tenaida, we learn them using the older form.
Correct.
But it could be that in this case, if the idea is that these are more recent, that we learn them from the form with allophony applied.
Especially if they're like larger units. I think it's like that the Theophany will probably get mapped on whether or not they're kind of just like saying like one word things. And a lot of the loans maybe are for like plants and kind of more of that vibe rather than these expressions. I think mm,
Like, this may be like a slightly over engineered.
this is particle.
A particle may not even be quite the right word at this point. It's more like a this was one of the things that caught me out in that other poll. It was this is more like an interjection, but again, interjection and particle are both
Yeah.
uh, like they're not really very easily. They're not easy to pin down. Wait, where did all my colors go? Is
No.
that me? It was me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have an idea about like well, mm, these are the hardest ones because of how like discourse based it is. And I feel like that's one of the things about like kind of like these like naturally coming up is because there is such like a long and tangled like reduction of that kind of stuff, especially here, I guess. Sorry. Um I think I want to do like one was like simple phrase, just like even if it is just like "do you know" or something like this, and then just kind of like I just also like know there's a lot more
Yeah, I
grammar
mean,
that we need to have
you
in
say
Carter to
that's
do this.
simple, but
It's not
do you
simple.
know? Obviously, we can make a word for to know, but we our grammar notes at the moment.
I mean, the grammar notes is just
It's
the
head
noun.
final
Yeah, it's
ish.
head final ish and SVO. Like there's nothing like that's the thing. Is that like it feels like we almost could, which just sounds terrible, like backtrack like say find some forms in modern Tanara that we like and somehow some way like create like a folk etymology in Kogarten for it.
Nah, I'm not interested in doing that. I I think like we only
Oh my
have
god,
like 11 minutes left, so we're not
do
gonna get
we
very far
plan the
today.
spin-off season of this season where we flush out Kogarton more?
I I honestly don't think that it is a bad idea to develop this language at least to the point where we can actually, come back to this and be like, oh, this is
Informed.
how you would say this, and this is what
Yes.
you would turn it into. Like, and we have like very good reasons to be doing this now. Whereas when we did this, our goal was is the map still in here?
Oh
Was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
literally
yeah.
just
To
like
name those little doodles.
name the islands.
Yes. You took the words out of my mouth where like it started out as a naming language and now it's just growing into something where we do need to have some sort of like I don't think even robust. There's some sort of grammar like vibes to it.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like even though this is very minimal, the fact that
Even
we
have
know
that.
this is going to be like much more strongly analytic plus compounding means that like I mean obviously Tenaida is also analytic, but we did hold on to some morphology,
Yes.
whereas here like I think a lot of it will be asking how do we do things with uh, like word order and syntax. So like right now, if the thing that you're asking is like, how do we make a question? Well, first of all, I think we can do a little promotion. So right now, this is heading 2. We're gonna make it a heading 1.
Yay!
uh, and then heading 2, we're gonna do interrogative.
Because I do think a lot of these are going to come from sort of like these like interrogative boyos. Like, yeah.
So
This is so crazy how not even like an hour ago I thought we would be here.
you thought we would be here?
No, no, the opposite. I didn't think at all. This is crazy.
I I had been wondering about whether we would come back to Korogarten because um, I feel like with Snyder we have more or less we've obviously not finished the language, but we had got to a point where I mean basically for every point in the Grand Bank document we had a decent answer at this point. Um,
Correct.
and so we were at the point where we would be translating to fill it out. And like, I don't think that makes for a particularly entertaining stream.
At least one
And
that's
so
based on like flushing these, fleshing them out. Caught myself. Go.
if you merge those two words, that is fine, Miles.
But I feel like I don't.
Uh huh. You had just misunderstood which one was in the phrase.
Yes, and now it's just like ingrained. So I have uningrained nip in the butt, so that's great. And Mateus, I absolutely agree. Making streams entertaining is overrated. A certain person asked me the other day, why do some people find streams like yours entertaining? And I could not give a great answer to that
Was it
question.
Remy?
Yeah.
How did I guess?
It's like what is the watcher getting out of it? And I'm like, I mean, like, it's just nice to have like an enjoyable space about things you like to do.
To do.
To do. Hey, to do.
I okay. Um,
Yeah, I took some emotional damage during that as well.
this is the sort of place where it feels like a is it usually described as VNV construction?
I know what you're talking about, but I think so.
Like verb, not verb.
Hmm.
I'm sure there is a better name for this than someone can. And yeah, I'm gonna put this on screen. That is pretty. And the reality is like not that many people find it entertaining. It's not like we're the next Hassan Piker, right?
No, no.
Not that we would want to be.
We wouldn't be. We would be more of his gay friend Austin. But other than that,
Hmm.
it's nice. I enjoy it, and that's all that matters. It makes me happy, and I hurt nobody. R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
Dolly. Um, yeah, verb not verb construction I think would be really helpful here. Since it's not like A, it makes it long. B, it's reductible. C, it's not adding too much like craziness that involves with like having to develop like a person marking and such as.
Mm-hmm. Um, we I mean, we're not going to have a I think one of the things for us to do between the end of this stream and the next one is going to be to completely gut these tables and to put everything into a appropriate format.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
oh, we can.
yeah.
You know what we can do? We can have a register difference between pronunciations of words that are taken more recently versus the old forms.
Yay! Oh, yay! Oh, I love that. That saves us like a lot of like. Yay! Okay, good, good, good. Okay,
And
I'm
then
looking to
what that
delete
also
all of this.
means is that, for example, Kangan comes out as Kangan in
In Tanira, it
in
does.
Taneida,
Yeah.
but they could expand the relationship of NG in this register so that, I mean, Tethys, if you're still here, Tethys won't be happy, but all cases of like NK can then be re-understood as being
Mm,
equivalent to
Angma. Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
NG. Like in Surank, right, could end up being
Sarang.
Surang, which when I look at it, probably more like this.
Yeah,
Um,
probably more like that, but
is
also
it,
like
or is it this already? I feel like it might be this already, actually.
I don't think it would be.
No, I think it might be. I thought the proto is
It.
actually
Oh,
from
it is. I'm sorry. It is. You are correct. If it was with
the
the proto N, then it would be the NK indeed.
yeah, the proto is this. So anyway. There was trying to think of a word to begin with, but yeah, like we can over apply the equivalences to create a register system. Um, yeah.
Ooh.
Um, if we are more decided on this, I don't want to do a poll for forms. Um, and so we'll think of the next like um,
I think
I don't
maybe
know.
like. Yeah, I do want to kind of like put people into a Kogarkin mood and kind of like maybe not like even if it's not a poll, but like maybe kind of just like say like, hey girl, like this is what's happening. We're moving a little bit away from Tanara for a moment and kind of like exploring these little doodles. Um, whether or not it's a poll or not, I don't think it's gonna be a poll.
Hmm.
But yay, I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. I'm very surprised that this is due time.
Yeah, I think we can, returning to here, we can have a think about what interjections or particles we want and figure out what the grammar we need is and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're very on time, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
Uh, Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I feel like
Goodbye.
we've had really, really good, like a good level of chat happening.
Yes, thank you all for participating in chat. It's been very lovely. As yeah, people have said, people like interaction. So thank you for interacting. Um, but yeah, we'll be here, next week doing some Tanara stuff. So, oh, no, oh no, no, the opposite, doing some Kokard stuff. Boop, boop, boop.
It's
So,
Tanira adjacent.
yes, it is adjacent. Hence, yes. Okay, yes.
We're
Goodbye.
adopting a cyclical model of history to avoid the myth of progress going forward and returning to the mini season as the end of the main season because ultimately everything comes back to bite us.
Yes.
The Ouroboros effect.
Oh,
Anyway, bye
okay. Bye,
bye.
folks.